Welcome back to another edition of the Washington Nationals here on OOTP 27. And as you can see, we are sitting on July 23rd, which means that we are getting up near the trade deadline here. We just got swept by the Cincinnati Reds heading out of the All-Star break, unfortunately. Now we have at Texas and then a 3-game set against Arizona at home. And then Atlanta takes us into the month of August before another road trip here. So we're going to start looking around at some trades here, because you may have noticed that we are currently sitting in first place in the National League East Division, tied with the Philadelphia Phillies. This is a very, very tight division, 1 through 4, between us, the Phillies, Braves, and Mets. Even the Marlins, they could go on a run here and get back in the swing of things, and suddenly they're looking like a team that can make it here. And the wild card is not totally out of the question here, as you can see. The Nationals and Phillies both here. Obviously, we're tied, so this is just one spot, but it shows us 2 teams. So we're the second team out of the wild card right now. Only 2 games back, but we don't want to rely on the wild card if we can help it. And the fact that the division is within reach just makes me think that we should be trying to play better here, trying to improve our team, and just not make huge swings here, but just, trying to improve a couple things here and there. First base is something that really stands out. If you take a look at our run differential, we have the best run differential in the division with the plus 28. We are -2 on our Pythagorean right now. The Phillies are +9 on their Pythagorean with a -75 run differential. I mean, they're a bad team. They should be the worst team in this division, but for whatever reason, they're just not playing that way. And they're getting really lucky. So you'd have to imagine that eventually they're going to progress to the mean. They are 3-7 in their last 10 at the moment on an L4, but then so are we. So we've actually given up a bit of a bit of a lead here in division. You'd have to imagine, but money is on us being the better team if this rate of run differential holds up. But if we can do anything to try to improve that, we're going to do that. So if we take a look at our team info page here, we are not looking the best offensively as usual. Not a lot of extra base hits, not a lot of home runs. We are walking a ton. We're getting on base a ton. We're just not really doing anything with that. We are 3rd in stolen bases still. Horrible base running yet again. But then not a lot of extra base hits, not a lot of home runs, like I said, not a lot of hits in general. We are 7th in runs scored, but we can be up in like the top 5, I think, if we start getting some more extra base hits, adding some more pop to the team here. And that leads me to my first thing that we're probably going to be trying to do here, and that is add a first base bat, because right now we have this Tolia, Tyler Austin platoon at first base, and as you can see, they're both towards the bottom here with our WRC pluses. Tolia with an 87 WRC plus, a 292 WOBA. I mean, it just has not been working for him this season after he had a decent year for us last year. Did not mean to back out on that page. But, yeah, Tolia just not looking great this year, unfortunately. He's still a very good first baseman, but that's whatever. So Tolia, not what we want there. And then Tyler Austin is a guy who really only plays against lefties, is not getting the job done either, with a 47 WRC plus as a guy you think would be able to mash lefties, but for whatever reason is not. So first base, totally open. We have brought in some guys who could play first base in the organization, but like, is Kalai Rosario here going to give us a real boost at first base? Maybe, possibly. We could play him against a lefty or something instead of Tyler Austin. Very unfortunately, Ethan Petrie is now down to a 45 when it comes to his potential. That's just not ideal. Not ideal. He is having some great exit velos and home run fly ball rate, barrel percentage, hard hit rate, expected slugging. Still got some good underlying numbers here in the AA level. He is 24 years old now, but he has dropped down to a 50 potential, and he's still not developing a ton. He's only a 40 right now. He's not developing a ton. Doesn't quite expect to be in the big leagues yet. So he's not really an option for us. You can also see here that Gleyber Torres is really starting to cool off. His WRC plus is much more along the lines of like a league average player now at a 109. If you look at his splits throughout the season here at the major league level, he came up in May and just tore the cover off the ball. June struggled a bit, and then so far here in July, he has been not great. So second base, all of a sudden looking like that's a question mark again. We still have Seaver King on the team as the main backup infielder at the moment, but he's he's an around league average bat. Maybe he gets a bit better if he plays here. He does expect to be in the starting lineup, so maybe he ends up just taking over that second base spot, honestly. That might be something we could do. But right now, we'll probably just keep running Glaber out there. And then maybe we'll do something where like Seaver King plays like every other day or every third day at second base or something. But we'll probably mix him in a bit. I don't think second base is something we need to upgrade because Seaver King has the potential to play there at a very high level. But first base is definitely like the obvious upgrade for the bat. Center field is something that like James Outman might end up having to get sent down because he's really not. Does he even have options? He has no options, so we can't send him down. We would have to just waive and DFA him. But he's just not getting the job done right now at the bat. Ignore these lefty numbers because he's barely playing, but against righties, he's just not doing what we would expect as a bat-first guy. In a platoon situation, some of these on run value, or some of these percentages are like okay, the home run fly ball rate, but then like a lot of middle-of-the-road stuff with like barrel percentage and hard hit rate. He is base running very well. But aside from that, nothing really too great going on for James Outman. And then especially the fact that he's playing center field and he's got a negative 4 ZR. So he's really not a center fielder. We're just really playing him there because he's just one of our better hitters. And we need so much offense that like if we could squeeze some offense at a center field while having some suspect defense and still pitching well enough, then, maybe that's something we could do. But right now it's not working. Ryan Lasko, on the other hand, is getting his job done as a platoon guy. He's even hitting decently well against righties. So I don't know if I want to go Ryan Lasko full-time center fielder because even he's not really playing center field at a high level. He's also a negative ZR player. So center field is just kind of a question mark right now, especially when it comes to the defense. Now, we could bring up somebody like Jay Allen, and he could probably play center field at a very high level. But it also would be sacrificing a lot of offense, at least potentially, with what you have with James Outman on the team. And then one thing that is a possibility with first base is that we could end up moving James Wood to be the full-time first baseman and then have just the DH spot open for whoever we feel like can be a difference-maker bat, somebody who can't really play first base, but they are a type of bat that we could use. So maybe something like I'm trying to think what exactly that situation would be. It's kind of a niche situation thing. So like maybe Christian Moore comes up and he plays some second base and like Glaber becomes the DH or something like that. But like Christian Moore has already shown that he doesn't really do much at the big league level. It's only 99 plate appearances, so maybe we should give him a bit more run. He's still somebody who has one more option year after this year. But you could look at these percentile rankings. Besides the home run fly ball rate, not exactly great at the major league level. He's been at a AAA for 93 plate appearances, basically the same amount of time, and he's much, much better down there. Obviously, AAA to the big leagues is a huge, huge jump in talent. Amador is not really a difference maker bat either. We signed Aurelvis Martinez here to a minor league contract over the offseason. Maybe he's somebody who could get some run at even first base or DH. Possibly. He's got some possible pop to his bat. I should also mention that Eli Willits is currently in AAA. He was playing very well, at least offensively, when it comes to the AA level in Harrisburg. Once again, with a 2.5 WAR almost. He's probably going to outplay what he did last season at a 3 WAR if he stayed down there. But the offense is still around a league average level. The offense isn't really improving that much. I guess his eye went up a little bit and his gap went up a little bit in May. But I mean, it's, you look at his ratings here and you're like, there's no way this can hold its own at the major league level. But I mean, who knows? Maybe he gets up there and it just like something clicks for him and then boom, he's ready to play. I mean, you look at these percentile rankings, like how is that going to hold its own in the big league level? He expects to play in the majors. The only reason that he is angry right now, he's sad with a frown face here because he expects to be in the majors. That is the only thing here affecting his mood. So he might have to come up at some point, but he's not a difference maker bat right now. He would be a guy who comes up and like replaces Nasim Nunez at shortstop because he just can't hit whatsoever. And then, like I've mentioned in the past, Eli Willits is somebody who is Rule 5 eligible, so we have to add him to the 40-man anyways, so we might as well give him a shot at some point, but I don't know if that's something we want to do now, or we'll probably wait until it's like right before the roster expansion. We also have another player who is probably going to get called up here soon. He is somebody who is not eligible for the Rule 5 draft. He was an 11th round pick for us in 2026, Edwin Alcia. But he's been just dominating the minor league level ever since he came into the system here. You can see he got 5 starts in 2026 in Fresno. That is Fresno, right? Fredericksburg, not Fresno. Fredericksburg. Then he spent 2027 all in Fredericksburg, dominated the level with a 4 WAR, and now here in Double-A at his age 23, almost 24 season, he is pitching very, very well once again in Double-A, and he expects to be in the major leagues. He is another guy who is unhappy entirely because he expects to be in the major leagues. So we'll probably call him up at some point as well. But that's the other thing, is that we don't really have an obvious place to put him. So he might be another guy who gets added to the 40-man before the expansion, so he's eligible for the playoffs, but doesn't get added to the team until there actually is roster expansion, because right now, we're not going to get rid of Prelip, Cavalli, Alcantara, obviously. Joey Estes has been performing poorly this season, but ever since he's made the move to be a follower, he's been performing much, much, much better. So Joey Estes getting the job done now. Travis Sikora is up in the big leagues. He's getting some time in the rotation. He's had 1 start that went fairly well. He's slated to pitch here in a couple days. We've got Cameron Flukie in the bullpen. He's had 2 appearances in the bullpen, and they've both gone much, much better than they were in the rotation. We're not going to send him down. We don't want to burn another one of his options either. Plus, we've committed all this money to him, so we don't want to, we want him to work out. We want him to develop. And then in the middle relief, like, all these guys are pitching quite well. We don't want to send down any of these guys. I guess Kahanowitz is like the worst of the bunch, because like he's a bit misleading with what his stats are. But he has no options, so we would have to waive and DFA him. So, we'll see. But also pitching is not really something that I want to really upgrade. Like maybe if there's something out there that's like obvious and really cheap and easy to get, possibly. But the main thing is here, we want to add bats. So whether it's move James Wood to first base and have somebody fill in DH, or it's bring somebody in to play first base, add a platoon even, who knows? Whatever it may be, we're looking to do that. And then maybe there's even somebody who's like an expiring free agent in center field or something that we can make a deal with. I doubt we're going to be able to get like our franchise center fielder at the deadline, but that's what we're, now that I've rambled for 45 minutes, what feels like, that is the goal here heading into the trade deadline. And like right off the bat, you're seeing on the trading block for hitters, I mean, Ronald Acuna Jr. is out there. He's got all these crazy percentile rankings still. He's still an impact bat. He's having a bit of a down season offensively, but, who knows? Maybe he comes over here and he's better. Now, the thing is, he's an expiring contract, so that's why they want to get rid of him here. But also, the Braves are the team. They're still in the mix here. They're only a -11 run differential. They're only 1 game out of first place, so I just don't see why they would trade somebody like Acuna in this situation. So I don't think we're going to be doing that. That doesn't make much sense to me. Spencer Torkelson is interesting. He's only got 1 day left on this herniated disc injury. He has had a ton of injuries since the beginning of this save, but he is still normal for now. He's an expiring contract as well, so it would just be a rental for him unless we decide to sign him over the offseason. But I mean, we're looking for an impact, middle-of-the-order bat. Spencer Torkelson is certainly that. What are the Tigers doing at the moment? They are under 500, -14 run differential, and they are 6 games out of the wild card as 2 teams are in front of them. So, they could definitely be looking to move somebody like Spencer Torkelson. That's definitely an option for us. We will consider this. You got Yordan Alvarez and George Springer on Cleveland. George Springer with a couple days left on his injury. Both of these guys are expiring contracts. They're both veterans. But also, we only really have room for one of these guys in the lineup. And then George Springer is not really that much of an impact bat anymore. And Yordan Alvarez still is, but he's also wrecked. And if you look at his injury history, there's a lot of it. And a lot of this is like nagging, like 1 to 2 day sort of stuff, like 1 week long injury stuff. But he has had some like 2, 3, 4, 7 week stuff. I mean, it's a lot of like strained groin, hip soreness, back. I mean, just it's a shit ton of injuries. A shit ton of injuries, and well, I don't know. I don't think we want to trade for this guy and then have him get hurt immediately, and then he doesn't help the team. So that's not probably something that's like high up on our list. I'd say Torkelson's probably the number one thing for us at the moment. And then we get down more into the 50 overall guys, where it's not too much of an upgrade here. Like a 35-year-old Teoscar Hernandez, probably not. You know, like a Spencer Steer, probably not somebody we're looking to pick up. You know, like he's probably better than what we have, but I mean, he's also struggled the past 2 seasons, and then he's just barely above league average this year. Alec Boehm, who's not an expiring, but also is on a team that's in the mix still, so I'm not going to do that trade. So yeah, I think Spencer Torkelson is the obvious one here. I think he's who we should go after. And if we just look at what it takes to get this done, yeah, they would want somebody like Alcia straight up, which I'm not interested in doing that. So what can we possibly do to make them a bit more interested? Like, this is going to take an actual prospect, because even though Torque is an expiring contract, he is a difference maker bat here. So, and for whatever reason, their team focus is build the dynasty, even though they've been terrible. So that's also going to factor into how tough this is. Yeah, even adding somebody like Landon Harmon doesn't really do anything for them, because they still want like legit players. They would want like a legit major leaguer or like one of our best prospects. So I'm not interested in giving them. I mean, they're just not interested. What about somebody like Hunter Dietz? Like, we've got so much pitching in the organization, I feel like. What about somebody like Hunter Dietz? Nunez? Maybe that's the move. Hunter Dietz is here. Delgado is a international free agent signing. He's like a high potential reliever who I wouldn't be opposed to giving up. I saw Cavalli pop up on this. How has Cavalli been this season? That could be something, possibly. Like, give them a pitcher. He's been, like, okay. But, like, I'm not totally against trading Cavalli, who has next year at 8.8. So he's not, like, a super high-term guy here. I'm not opposed to trading Cavalli, giving them something else to, like, make them a bit more interested, and getting Torkelson back. And then our rotation ends up being like Prelip, Alcantara, Estes, Sikora. Maybe Fluky goes back in here as a follower. Maybe Edwin Alcia comes up and goes straight into the rotation. I'm not opposed to that. I think we've got the arms to get us to the playoffs. I just think the bats need a bit more push. And I'm not opposed to trading Cavalli. So maybe that's the way we do this. So if I throw Cavalli in here, yeah, run fast, yeah, whatever you say, assistant GM. Yeah, and then like Delgado, we give them Cavalli, and then this guy who looks like he could be nasty. He's got some really good personality, but he's super far away. He's a reliever at the end of the day. So, there's going to be guys like that. He has a 35 stamina, so he could be a possible like nasty stopper, but he's so far away. They need some value to make it work, and I think that's interesting. We give them a pitcher that they're going to get for the rest of the season and next year to help their staff. He's a quality pitcher, and they're going to get Bobby Delgado, who's probably going to be a nasty reliever for them somewhere down the line, and then we get an expiring contract who's a first baseman DH type in Spencer Torkelson. I think that's what we're going to do here. We're going to go for that, and that's going to be our first trade we make at the deadline here. Spencer Torkelson, you are now a Washington National. And now what if we go to the trade block here and we look at center fielders? There's just no way there's going to be somebody who can actually play center field who's on the block. Oh, Jose Siri. 60 power, that could be interesting. Okay, so he's gotten some time with LA and with Tampa. He went back to Tampa. He's back with Tampa still. And he did hit 28 home runs last year. No, like only 8 doubles. I guess he struck out a ton, and I guess was he just not good defensively or something for them? No, he still put up a 15 ZR. I'm kind of at a loss for how his season was not that productive. How was 2027 not this productive? He only a 1-win player with 28 home runs, 74 ribbies. I guess because he hit 179, 228, 368. Yeah, 596. So I don't know. He could be like a buy low sort of thing, bring in the organization. But what if we go like 65 outfield range, center field, include minor leaguers, and just look at who's available, who's out there, who's like a 50 sort of guy that we can trade for. The Giants gave Harrison Bader an extension through 2032 at $27.4 million. Jesus Christ. The A's aren't even playing Denzel Clark. He's in AAA for them. I mean, this is a totally fine center fielder. Put up these types of offensive numbers, and he puts up good CRs in center field. Why do they not want him in center field? Do they have like a... They're in second place. They're 50 and 50. They got a positive run differential. They are out of the wild card by 2.5 games. They got one team in front of them. Who is their center fielder at the moment? Henry Bolt. Why? This guy's horrible. The AI is so stupid, man. Like, why is that the better option for them? He's not even like a bat for you. Why was that the better option in center field? What are the chances that we could get like Mike Sirota from the Dodgers? That would be interesting. He's kind of stuck in AAA for them. He expects to be in the major leagues. He's angry about it. That's interesting. That's interesting. He could probably hold his own in center field. He's got a 1.20, but he barely plays in center field for them right now. Yeah, I mean, they've barely even played him in center. But I feel like he could hold his own. He's got a 65. He's got 70 range. He could definitely play center field. He's stuck in AAA with the Comets. Who do they have in center field right now? They got Jack Sawinski in center field, and they're still refusing to call up Sirota. They got Stephen Kwan on this team in left field. They got Pajes in right field, who they play in center in real life a good amount. We got Mike Sirota. It would take a legit dude to get him. But like, what does their depth center field situation look like? This guy's just a corner, and Josue DePaula. What happened to like Zahir Hope and all those guys? Yeah, it seems like they've traded Zahir Hope. Nope, he's still there. Oh, he's hurt. Okay, so yeah, they still have Zahir Hope. He's a possible guy to play center field for him. I'm tempted to do this. I'm tempted to send the Dodgers Nasim Nunez, who obviously is our all-world defensive shortstop. I don't know about all-world, but he's one of the best shortstop defensively in the league, I would say. At least on paper with 75 range, 92nd percentile fielding run value. But he is a dreadful, dreadful, dreadful bat. He's projected to go up to $5.5 million next year in arbitration. And he only has, how many years of team control? Two more years of team control. And the second year is $9.5 million. And I just don't want to really pay a guy like that $9.5 million. While the Dodgers, on the other hand, they will pay a pinch runner multiple $1 million. So Nasim Nunez, it's not a big deal for them. He still adds value, obviously, because he has that base running and he has the fielding run value. And he might even be their starting shortstop. I don't really know what their shortstop situation looks like at the moment. It looks like it's Tommy Edman, who I guess is probably holding his own there. He's actually playing quite a good shortstop. So, maybe he doesn't end up being the starting shortstop. Maybe he's a backup player for them. Of course, they have Josh Smith, and they have Bo Bichette, apparently, because, of course, Mookie Betts is a first baseman for them now, a 5'9" first baseman, and he's terrible all of a sudden. But just none of our prospects are what they would want for Mike Sirota. Like, basically nothing I offered them for Mike Sirota was something that tickled their fancy when it came to Mike Sirota. But I don't know. I think he's like the best of both worlds at the center field position for us, where he could be not a cleanup hitter sort of guy, but he could be like a 5th, 6th hitter on our team, ideally long term, an actual serviceable major league bat at the center field position with 70 outfield range. He's just in AAA for them. He's like stuck there. They refuse to call him up. They've also got Zahir Hope still, so he could still be like a long-term center fielder for them while we get Sirota. And then also, I just throw in a couple guys that they just don't value as well, because I might throw in like a 45 potential guy to make this value even out. But I mean, like James Tibbs is a 45 potential, almost 26-year-old first baseman who, you know, he's good in AAA. They don't have room for him. They've got a 5'9", $8 billion first baseman in Mookie Betts, so they're not going to call him up. He's never going to play for them. So this is just a complete nothing for them. And then Jose Rodriguez is a 27-year-old reliever who has been in AAA for 4 straight seasons for them, and they just refuse to ever call him up. So clearly they don't value this guy either. So I just feel like Nasim Nunez for Mike Sirota is the real trade, and then we're just kind of throwing in these two because they just don't value those guys. And then maybe just for my conscience of being like, maybe the Rodriguez guy is a bit more valuable, and we should give them like something. But it's like, what am I going to give them? Like another 45 potential guy who's also never going to make the big leagues for them? Like I give them Sam Peterson because he's never going to make our team? Sure, why not? Who cares? Why? Yeah, let's do it. Fuck it. Boom. Sam Peterson, Nasim Nunez, going to the Dodgers. We're getting Mike Sirota, James Tibbs III, and Jose Rodriguez. Oh, wait, never mind. I totally forgot that I still had to make this work anyways. So yeah, I could just throw in some random prospect here, like this 17-year-old in the Dominican Rookie League. Sure, that gets it done. Mike Sirota, James Tibbs, Jose Rodriguez. They get Jorge Aguilar, some DSL prospect, and Nasim Nunez. And everyone's happy, and we're not defending the Dodgers. Alrighty, so I think that's all we're doing at the deadline here. So we just traded Nasim Nunez and a throw-in prospect to the Dodgers for Mike Sirota, James Tibbs III, and Jose Rodriguez, while on the other trade was Cade Cavalli and Bobby Delgado, a interesting relief prospect, to the Detroit Tigers for Spencer Torkelson, who is on a expiring contract as a big bopper bat for us. And right now, the lineups are basically the same. Yeah, they're the same against righties and lefties. It's Harry Ford leading things off, James Wood DHing and hitting second, Spencer Torkelson hitting third at first base, Bellinger in right field cleaning up, Dylan Cruz in left, Brady House at third. Eli Willits is up from AAA. Didn't even play in AAA, so basically he went straight from AA to the big leagues. He's our shortstop now. Mike Sirota is our center fielder, and Gleyber Torres is the second baseman, with Seaver King playing every third game at second base against both righties and against lefties. And then Michael Tolia is being moved to a bench role as like a pinch hitter, backup first baseman type. James Outman becomes the fourth outfielder. Seaver King is the main backup infielder. And then we did have to DFA. We didn't have to, but we did DFA Tyler Austin because he just, wasn't getting the job done, and there's not really a spot on the team for him anymore. And then we also sent down Ryan Lasko. So Ryan Lasko was performing better than James Outman, but James Outman does not have any options and is more of like the ideal fourth outfielder type. So Lasko in AAA for now, but definitely not the last we're seeing of Ryan Lasko at the major league level, if I had to imagine. I did think about possibly waiving and DFAing Tolia and keeping Lasko on the roster and having a fourth and fifth outfielder on the roster, because we would probably do something where like the fourth outfielder against righties is Outman, but the fourth outfielder against lefties is Lasko, and that makes it so King doesn't have to be like the secondary backup outfielder. But we didn't do that. We're keeping Tolia on the roster, at least for now, but Lasko will probably be back up as the extra position player when we get to the expanded rosters. And then as far as the pitching goes, we've got Prelip, Alcantara, Estes, Sikora all move up a spot 1 to 4, and then Edwin Alcia has been called up from AA because he wanted to be up. He was not Rule 5 eligible, but he definitely looks like he can hold his own. He's going to come up. He's going to hopefully pitch well. He's in the rotation right now. We have Cameron Flukie in a long relief role. Joey Estes is a follower. I thought about possibly doing a 6-man rotation and having Flukie in this mix as well. I also thought about waiving and DFAing Kahanowitz and bringing up the Rodriguez guy we just traded for, Jose Rodriguez here. That's definitely an option for us. But for right now, I think we're going to roll with what we have and just see how it goes. honestly, let's do the 6-man. Let's put Fluky in the rotation. Let's do a 6-man rotation. And yeah, we'll do 6-man rotation. Fluky's in there, and since he was so terrible as a straight up starter, but he was been good as a reliever, we're gonna make him a follower. Also, I've started editing this a bit more to where guard lines is 2 ticks up, outfield shifts is 3 ticks up, and then I usually have outfield depth as 1 tick up, and that's usually like the standard for what I have for guys. The pitch around is based on what their control is, or at least what their potential is. For now, I'll probably drop his down to be like this is what I usually do when guys don't have big control. But if this ever fills in, they'll probably be like 1 tick above normal. But yeah, this is usually what I have for most people in the strategy settings here for pitchers. But yeah, 6-man rotation: Prilip, Alcantara, Estes, Sakura, Alicia, and Fluky. Estes and Fluky are followers. Gregory Santos is our... who was the opener that we had with the White Sox? I forget. We were always pairing somebody with... it might have been Alex Lang. I forget who it was exactly, but we had somebody in the White Sox series that was just always an opener, and he was just dominant in that role. Gregory Santos is that guy for us right now. He is the super opener man. He's going to be opening for both Estes and Fluky. They're enough spaced out in the rotation to where he's not going to have to pitch like double days in a row. He's going to have time in between, and we're hoping that... the pitching staff's going to continue to pitch well. The defense might get a bit of a boost here now that Mike Sirota's playing center field and should be better than James Outman in center field. And then the offense also should get a boost here with Sirota and Spencer Torkelson joining the team. And then also Eli Willits should not be a huge downgrade defensively for Nasim Nunez because he's been picking the ball really, really well at the AA level. And we're going to hope that things can keep going well. Some of the future pieces are starting to really make their way to the big leagues here as we are ready to hopefully make the playoffs here. Once again, looking at the expanded standings, we are a plus 28 run differential, minus 2 on the Pythagorean, 51 and 49, tied for first place in the NL East division. Currently, we are 2 games out of the wild card if that was us in second place. Let's see where we are when the season ends. Oh my god, folks, we just had a 13-game winning streak. I mean, we are just on a roll right now. Boom, you start off the month of September, Philadelphia series, take 2 out of 3. Win the second and third, and then you carry it into Chicago on the south side. You sweep them. You sweep Milwaukee, and then you sweep the Marlins, and then you take 2 out of 3 from Colorado. That's where the losing streak, or where the winning streak ends here. And you know what the crazy part is? We're doing this without Harry Ford, who got hurt with a bone bruise at the very beginning of September on the 3rd. September 3rd. So when did the winning streak start? He got hurt in the second game of the winning streak. So Harry Ford has not been playing through this winning streak here, but he's been fantastic throughout the season, obviously. But we're still getting it done without him. Right now the catching situation is Carlos Narvaez, who's been holding his own. He's been okay as a backup. We'd like to see that. He's been solid. And then Caleb Lomavita is our backup catcher right now. So he's been getting 3 games, 2 starts. It's whatever. And then the rest of the boys, they're just getting the goddamn thing. Torkelson's been fantastic. Mike Sirota's been amazing. Mike Sirota! Dylan Cruz is finally breaking out for us. James Wood's been great. Gleyber Torres is once again hitting, at least I think, based on what his stats are. Yeah, August, he tore the cover off the ball. September, he's been tearing the cover off the ball. Things are going fantastic. We're not going to go into super in-depth thing here because we're getting towards the end of the season. Obviously, we'll do that when the end of the season comes up here. But, I mean, the Who's Hot section, Keegan DeKint, Sandy Alcantara, Gregory Santos, Mike Sirota, Mike Sirota, and James Wood. I mean, the Washington Nationals, folks. There it is, folks. Bang! The first playoff berth for the Washington Nationals. We're going to the playoffs. Rookie of the month is Mike Sirota. And then pitcher of the month, Cameron Fluky, the Egg Harbor Township man. It's a coming all together here for the Nationals. Oh my goodness, folks. We are here at the end of the season, and our Washington Nationals finished the 2028 campaign at a 90-72 record, which was 10 games in front of the Atlanta Braves for that first place spot. What did I keep saying? We were eventually going to regress to the mean, and what happened? Bam! Plus 100 run differential, best team in the National League East. Everyone else is stinky poo-poo. The Mets are absolute garbage, even with that Steve Cohen payroll. Who cares? Get out of here. As we just straight up dominate the National League East division this year, and they projected us to be the worst team in the division, as always. Just absolutely disrespecting a Jersey-born OOTP team. We take a look at our team stats page here and look at how much this has improved. What did I say? This was like 7th before we hit the trade deadline, and I was like, I think we can get this into the top 5, and bang! 3rd in runs scored in the National League. Still walking a ton. 2nd, striking out a ton, but that's fine. We're scoring a bunch of runs. We're hitting way more home runs than we were. Both of these are into the single digits. The home runs are significantly more into the single digits. We're scoring way more runs. We're still getting on base a ton. The offense is really starting to hum here as we head into the playoffs here as this 90-win ball club. And then the offensive side of things. The starters, not the best, but we're kind of piecing it together. But overall, the pitching, fantastic. 3rd in runs in ERA. 1st in the best bullpen ERA. That's just, that's a Jersey-born special. That's what we do out here. 3rd in runs allowed. So we have the 3rd least runs allowed with the 3rd most runs scored. That's that plus 100 run differential. Fantastic stuff. 4th in WAR, 3rd in hits allowed, 5th in opponent's average, and BABIP, the least amount of home runs allowed, the 4th least amount of base on balls. Don't care about the strikeouts because you don't get on base against us, and you don't hit home runs. So we can. The strikeouts are gonna. They're not a necessary thing because you're not getting on base against us. And then also 3rd in zone rating. What was this, like 10th, 11th, something like that around the trade deadline? And we get it up to 3rd in the National League. Now we are committing a ton of errors. But I've talked about how, and I don't know if this is really reflected in the game, but in real life, a team that commits errors, it's not the biggest indicator of a bad defensive team because the errors are very subjective. And, it's the score on the day could be some 75-year-old man who has no idea what he's watching. And he sees a guy with the most insane range of all time get to a ball, botch it. He had no business even getting that ball in the first place, but it's an error because he botched it, and it's, stuff like that. So, error is not the biggest thing for me, but the zone rating, fantastic. We'll take it. Clearly something's working, as the Nationals are just rolling here. 18-9 in the month of September. And let's go ahead and take a look at this pitching staff here. Now, this already has updated to be the 26 guys on the postseason roster, so it has taken Sandy Alcantara off of this. So let's just look at Sandy Alcantara right away here. Boom. He put up a 3-win season. Obviously, he's going to be on the 40-man, or he's going to be on the playoff roster. But, we haven't quite adjusted the playoff roster quite yet. So, Sandy Alcantara, 3-win season. Love to see it. He does his thing where he doesn't give up any walks, doesn't give up any home runs. Just overall improved with the K percentage, the walk percentage, and the home run percentage from last season. And he also pitched the whole year. 30 starts. We'd love to see it. Fantastic for Sandy. And as far as the rest of the guys go, we'll sort by innings pitched here. Connor Prelip gave us 162 and a third innings. Wasn't the greatest. The ERA a bit unlucky with that. The FIP not too much worse than league average, but still decent. And he is currently with a sprained elbow for 2 weeks, so he actually might end up not making the postseason roster here because he's got a moderate injury to his elbow for 2 weeks. So he might be the odd man looking out here for the postseason roster. And he was also just kind of stinky poo-poo down the stretch. July, August, September, not very kind to Connor Prelip. Cameron Flukie, though, 145 innings, 145 and a third innings pitched here. The overall numbers don't look the best, but he started figuring things out as the season went on here, especially once he took over in that follower role in August and September. You can see here, as a follower, he was fantastic. A 109 ERA as a follower, we will take that absolutely. Obviously, the walks are a big, big issue with him, but we're hoping that that's going to, start to not be a huge issue. And also, we're still not walking a ton of guys, even with somebody like that. So That's good to see. Cameron Flukie wins Pitcher of the Month this September. He's getting the job done. He's starting to really look like the guy we want him to be. Joey Estes, once again, league average across the board with the numbers here, but he also was a guy who was much, much better as a follower than he was as anything else. And that has all been coming together here as Gregory Santos, the super opener. 58 games, 74 innings, 29 starts as an opener, and he really excelled in that role. So he's going to keep doing that. We're going to keep rocking that in the postseason here as it's part of our success. And I'm a big fan of doing the opener-follower thing anyways, so Gregory Santos is in that role for us. And then as far as the rest of the staff goes, Jack Kahanowitz, he was fine, whatever, sure, whatever. He was exactly league average with the FIP, good with the ERA, pitched a ton of innings for us out of the bullpen. Love to see it. Give us that bulk. Matt Brash was fantastic in a stopper role with Adrian Morejón. Matt Brash gave us 110 innings out of the bullpen, was fantastic. Ton of really good blue here, blue and teal all over the percentile rankings, a 200 ERA plus, a 76 FIP minus, a 27.1 K percentage with only a 6 walk percentage. That's a 21.2 K minus walk. Big time stuff for the Canadian reliever. And then his double barrel stopper, his double barrel mate in the stopper position, Adrian Morejón, goes 72 and a third innings. Not quite as many as Brash, but he was also still very good. A 19.4 K minus walk, doing his thing. And then we also have Keegan Akin. He was good in the middle relief role once again, 70 and a third innings. He was fantastic. Luke Little was solid, 67 and a third for him. Travis Sakura, unfortunately, did not pitch well. He might end up as a reliever. We'll have to look at what the situation's going to look like here for the postseason roster. But, there's definitely some things to like. The pitching run value, the fastball run value, not the greatest, which kind of doesn't make sense to me because he pumps really hard. He's 96, 98, 60 grade fastball. But, hopefully it's going to keep improving as he keeps developing a bit. He definitely somebody we still think is going to be very good for us. Just not the best showing at the major league level here for Sakura in his first 12 starts. But then we have Camilo Doval, who had 55 and a 2/3 innings pitched, 149 ERA plus, and a 67 FIP minus, which is just really, really good stuff at 2.74 FIP. 30.8 strikeout percentage with a 12 walk percentage. He's never going to be able to not walk people, but he struck out a ton of guys this year, doesn't give up any home runs. He's an extreme ground baller. He's fantastic. He's our closer. He comes in at the end of games and he shuts things down. That's what he came here for, and he's finally doing that for us. And then Edwin Alcia, also not the greatest showing here in the big leagues, but also a bit unlucky with the ERA, not too bad with the FIP. And we're still confident he's going to be a good pitcher, just not the best first 9 starts here. Like I said, the starters, definitely the weak point with the bullpen. We don't go deep into games with the starters anyways. So the starters go, they get through the maybe 1.5 to 2 times through the order, and then boom, we go to the bullpen, and they're locking things down. We're very aggressive with that. And that's definitely something I'm going to be very cognizant of when we get to the postseason. I'm not going to be trying to have Edwin Alcia go 7 deep into a game. We're going to be very aggressive with getting our bullpen into the game. And then Jose Rodriguez, he came up in the September call-ups and was fantastic. He pitched 15 and 2/3 for us in AAA. Just dynamite. Incredible. Struck out a ton of guys. Doesn't walk anybody. Doesn't give up home runs. 10 saves in 15 2/3 innings. And then he comes up in the big leagues in September call-ups. And he was just basically just as good. The FIP, not great. As good, but still better than league average. And then the ERA, just fantastic. A .82 ERA. Nothing to complain about there. The strikeout rate obviously jumped down a little bit, but, it's the big leagues. It's a huge step up in competition. He's our best strikeout man. He will be on the postseason roster because he has that role. And then when it comes to the offensive side of the ball here for us, the Bats, Harry Ford put together a 4-win season with a 117 WRC+. As our catcher, missed a little bit of time, like I said, with that bone bruise in his left hand for like 3 to 4 weeks in the month of September, but overall still was solid for us, and not quite as good as last year, but still a very, very good player. Walked a ton more this year. His strikeout rate actually dropped, and he was just overall a really, really good leadoff hitter. Swiped 23 bags. Not the best percentage, but solid year for Harry Ford. Dylan Cruz finally put it together here. 3.5 win season. better than league average WRC plus, 28 doubles, 21 home runs, 81 runs driven in, 85 scored, walked a ton more than he had the past couple seasons. Strikeout rate was a little bit around the same, but still a solid number. And 43 swiped bags for Dylan Cruz, utilizing that speed this season. Lots of good stuff here on the percentile rankings. Now, obviously not a great defender, but he's holding his own at least in left field, so nothing too worrisome there. Then we have Spencer Torkelson, who came over at the deadline and just did exactly what we would have hoped. 134 WRC plus, 13 doubles, 15 home runs. Basically did what he did for Detroit, but the rest of the season with us, and that's exactly what we wanted. He comes in here, he's a middle-of-the-order bat, difference maker, love to see it. Then we have Cody Bellinger, who he signed in the offseason. Wasn't anything too crazy, but definitely a good bat to have on the team here, and this team would not be where it is as a 90-win ball club without somebody like Cody Bellinger, especially in the first half of the season. He was doing the bulk load there, along with James Wood, being like a middle-of-the-order big bopper bat. It's not just those two guys anymore behind Harry Ford. We've got some other dudes in the lineup. One of those guys, James Wood, like I mentioned, 2.5 win season as the DH for most of the year, 123 WRC plus. He had the most plate appearances and the most runs scored in baseball. Fantastic stuff. 40 doubles, 25 ribbies, 23 swipe bags. Not the best percentage, but basically an 80 percentage. We'll take that as James Wood continues to be very good. Take a look at his advanced stat here. Just peppering the ball all over the place. Haven't really ever looked at this page, to be honest. Probably should start doing that. Let's take a look at where all his home runs are, huh? In real life, probably a bit more of a guy who sprays it out here. He has some crazy opposite field power in real life. And this one's pretty crazy, as it has a left-handed bat. But, hitting a good amount of home runs, doing his thing. James Wood, 40 doubles, 25 ribbies, or 25 home runs, like I said, and the most runs scored in baseball. We've got Gleyber Torres, who was a solid player for us. A little bit better than league average, 2-win season. He had 17 doubles, 15 home runs, did his thing. He was actually the leadoff guy for us when Harry Ford got hurt, and he's going to continue to play for us the rest of the season, into the playoffs, hopefully. Brady House, unfortunately, did not solidify himself as that third base spot, but he's a guy who's on a cheapest deal. We're not expecting him to be the cleanup hitter for us. There's definitely some positives here. He's a very good defensive third baseman. Plus, he's got some really good barrel rate, his hard hit percentage, his average exit velo, his expected slugging. You have to think that this guy is going to be able to put together a better than 80 WRC plus season for us at some point, and put this into the triple digits, because he's got the pop. This year he drove in 94 runs. You can see it there. He's a valuable player, so he's going to be our third baseman next season too, and just hopefully he's able to be a bit better. And then our man, Mike Sirota. Is it possible to look at this man's name and not say that? Probably not. He comes over from the Dodgers AAA team, and he puts together 134 WRC plus, 8 doubles, 13 home runs, driving 43, scores 9. The stolen bases, not great. Did he actually have a ton of caught stealing? Yeah, 33%. Yeah, definitely need to cut down on those, but I do not have him. Right, I should probably honestly cut that down. So yeah, but we'll do something like that for Mike Sirota. Not going to be stealing a ton of bags, but he's here doing his thing. And defensively, okay, maybe not the best. Maybe not the best. So I thought he was a bit better than that in center field, but he's not as bad as Outman was. So center field's still a bit of a question mark. But 70 range, 65, he's got to be able to figure out. He's got to be able to put that in the next season. He's got a lot of good percentile rankings here. We're hoping that he's going to come in next season and still be our center fielder. That is the plan, and he's our dude. James Outman on the bench to finish the season. He was a league average player, essentially, 14 home runs, whatever. He's a valuable player still. Narvaez is the backup catcher. Seaver King was a valuable player as our backup second baseman, playing every third day at second base with Gleyber Torres, really sharing the load really down the stretch. And then Eli Willits, basically just doing a Nasim Nunez impression, except he's not giving that base running value as much as Nasim Nunez was, but he is still picking it at the shortstop position. with a 6 ZR at the major league level, a 7.6 at the AA level. So he's still doing his thing. Only 2 errors as well. So Eli Willits can definitely pick it. We're hoping that the bat starts to fill in a bit more now that he's in the big leagues where he's expected to be, and we're hoping that maybe next season he's able to jump into being a much more valuable major league player. As a 21-year-old, he's still very, very young, and you'd have to imagine that this starts to fill in more now that he's happy and in the big leagues on a winning team. And then also we had Gavin Lux on the team as like a September call-up, did nothing. He was really good for us in AAA, but doubt he's going to be on the big league team here for the playoffs, but he was on the roster. The other man that we had on the roster was Ryan Lasko, who was a serviceable player. 53 games, 156 plate appearances. He was an above-average WRC plus, 8 doubles, 4 home runs, 21 ribbies. Nothing too crazy, but he's a valuable player. He's definitely more valuable than Gavin Lux was. He's got some actually interesting percentile rankings here. I mean, the barrel rate, the hard hit rate, the expected walk percentage, all much better than you would think from an outline like this, a profile like this. He's very good defensively. Maybe not to be like an all-time great center fielder, but he's a good fourth outfielder type to have on a team. And we obviously know he's a Rutgers guy from Ocean County, New Jersey. I've obviously got a soft spot for guys like that. I don't know why I said that with a weird accent, but I did. And Ryan Lasko is a good player for us. Another thing that I should mention is there were some teams better than us in the American League. The American League East was loaded. I mean, the top 4 teams all win 90-plus games. What the fuck? That's crazy. They all have crazy run differentials, too. They basically all have plus 100. The Orioles are plus 97. Whereas in the National League, definitely a bit weaker of a division, a bit weaker of a league. The Cardinals win the Central with 90 wins. The Dodgers with 95 wins are the only other plus 100 run differential team. So we have the second best run differential in the National League this season, which is just a crazy fact. Basically looking at where this team was heading into the season as to where we are right now heading into the playoffs. And then taking a look at the hitting leaders around Major League Baseball here, Jeff McNeil over in Seattle wins the hitting crown in the American League side of things as a 36-year-old. And then in the National League, it is Nico Hoerner of the Chicago Cubs putting together a 4-win season as well, as their like elite defensive second baseman. It looks like he's actually kind of slipping defensively at second base. Yeah, not so good defensively anymore at second base, although it still says he should be. But the bat was actually not too bad for them, leading the National League in batting average. And then over on the power side of things, the AL leader was Aaron Judge. The NL leader was Kyle Schwarber. Nick Kurtz was also among the league leaders, the only other man with 40+. Spencer Torkelson with 100 ribbies was among the league leaders on this list. Stolen base leader Chandler Simpson of the Tampa Bay Rays. He continues to just steal a ton of bags. That's 3 straight American League leader stolen base rates for him, as he has just turned into a crazy stolen base player for the Rays. Very odd that he just can't play center field, though. You would think with his speed he'd be able to figure out center, but he's just not a center fielder. He is a very good left fielder, but, usually you want some pop in that position, but, he's still a valuable player nonetheless. And then Nasim Nunez, our guy, ends up finishing with 54 swipe bags. With the Dodgers, whatever. Then moving things on, James Wood with the 3rd most ABs. The most runs scored in baseball. The National League leader was Dylan Moore. Wow. Dylan Moore with 104 runs scored in the National... We were the National League leader, but still, Dylan Moore with 104 runs scored. That's crazy. 23 swipe bags. I guess he was the shortstop in San Diego. I played left, he played short, he played first. He played everywhere for San Diego this year. Odd year, but Dylan Moore got a ton of playing time this year. But then the American League leader was Julio Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners. The hits leader, Jarren Duran. The doubles leader, Jarren Duran. James Wood was on this list as well with 40 doubles. The fact that there are no Colorado Rockies on this triples list should just show you how poor the Rockies are. The most strikeouts in baseball belong to Kyle Schwarber. 5th most was James Wood, but we struck out a ton of it as a team. That's whatever. It's not ideal, but the offense was still good without that. And then he also had the most counting stat walks in the league. I mean, he had more counting walks than Juan Soto did. Even Roman Anthony. Roman Anthony won behind him with the Boston Red Sox. And then Judd's just all over this list as he is absolutely insane. On the pitching side of things, though, Michael King with the ERA leader in the National League. The American League was Cole Reagans, who is now with Toronto, apparently. Garrett Crochet on this list as well. Yuri Perez apparently over with the Dodgers now. That's cool, and actually panning out in this universe as not what the case was in our Marlins series that we had last season. Cole Reagans was really good as well. 16 wins, 248 strikeouts, both led the league, with Garrett Crochet right behind him in both those categories. Also had the highest wins above replacement. I mean, Cole Reagans is going to win the Cy Young. He was crazy this year with Toronto. The saves leader was Matt Swanson with the St. Louis Cardinals. But we don't prioritize saves, we prioritize innings from our relievers. We try to get those stoppers going, and obviously Duvall's not going to be able to lead the league in saves when he has 2 stoppers also getting a ton of innings. Speaking of innings, 200 from Spencer Swellenbach rather, and Cole Reagans in their respective leagues in the National and American League. Cole Reagans once again with the strikeout per 9. Cole Reagans, this is Brian Wu, but he's second. Cole Reagans, just a lot of crazy good stuff there for Cole Reagans once again. Brian Wu here on both of these. Brandon Pfaadt on the walks per 9, 1.7. That's crazy. Tied with Brian Wu. Matt Brash with the 5th most holds. Spencer Schwellenbach, but Sandy Alcantara with the 3rd most quality starts. Not that I really give a shit about quality starts. Flawed statistic. And then Cameron Flukie walked a ton of guys, like I said, but still starting to come around into his own a bit. And then on the defensive side of things, Spencer Torkelson with total chances, putouts, and then actually runners thrown out percentage. Harry Ford towards the top, and then also catcher's ERA as well. So Harry Ford starting to turn into a really good defensive catcher here. Not quite with the framing runs, but still a very good player nonetheless. He did have 3.6, so at least he was a positive player with the framing runs. And then obviously is a really good bat as a catcher as well. So, just really good player, Harry Ford, and we of course got him locked up through his age 32 season. And then we do have a first-round bye. It is us and the Dodgers with a first-round bye in the National League. Padres, Brewers, Cubs, and Cardinals are your wild card teams. And then over on the American League, it's the Blue Jays and the Mariners. I don't know why I said that so weird, with the first-round byes. And then the Orioles, Red Sox, Yankees, and Twins with wild card spots. And we'll see who we're playing in the next episode.